Okay, guys, now once you have already analyzed. Okay, guys, now that you once already analyzed and checked this key language, let's read it together to see what is it about. Okay, it says fleeting sculptures. When you see a sculpture, do you think about its materials? How many? Many are made of stone, wood, and bronze. These materials wear down were slowly, and some sculptures may last for centuries. However, what happens if sculptors use ice or sand? Well, when I was studying the university, the career, my career, I saw that the people that studies gastronomy, they in this period of time of their career, they made some sculptures out of ice. One friend of mine made a pineapple, and it was really cool. She said it was so hard because trying to work with ice, it's hard because you can burn yourself because of the ice, and cutting it with special tools, special knives. I don't know what type of materials they should use, but it was cool, but at the same time it's a little bit dangerous and a little bit difficult. But it's a cool technique that sculptors have to make this type of art. It says, have you ever made a sand castle? I have when I was a little kid, and sometimes I do it with my nieces. And it's really cool to make a sand castle, especially when you're in spring break and the beach and stuff like that. It says they do not usually last long. No, they don't last like not even for 30 minutes. But they're cool. It entertains yourself of trying to do it. Ice and sand sculptures are rare forms of art. These type of sculpting competitions attract a lot of attention from all over the world. There are two major reasons why. Because it is difficult to work with these materials and because the sculptures are fragile. Ice and sand are very hard to manipulate. When in water can quickly destroy sand creations. Ice can easily break and melt. However, ice and sand sculptures can make incredibly complex and detailed works of art. Yes, they're really cool, but you see, it's difficult to work with ice because it's fragile, it melts, but it's hard to manipulate. Imagine trying to make a dog out of ice and trying to make the eyes. I think it's really hard to make that part. But well, good sculptures that like this type of art have the ability of doing it. It says ice blocks. Ice blocks for sculpturing come from different places. Small ice blocks come from machines that make them, but enormous ones come from frozen lakes. Wow. Carving. Let's observe this video. Wow. You see how that person used like a chainsaw to try to cut the figure? You see, it's cool, but you have to do it at the same time really quick because the ice will melt, or you have to do it in a place where it's a cold place for the ice not to melt really quick. It says there are many ways to shape ice. Carving is one of them. Sculptors use polishing tools and chainsaws to remove unwanted chunks. Water. Tiny pieces of ice like snow get in the way of sculptors who need to see their progress clearly. They clean their sculptures with water to remove reduce. Let's see. Yes, so once you're done trying to make the figure with chainsaws or special materials, they pour water to try to see what they have made so far. Heat. Ice melts with heat. If the pieces break, sculptors use blowtorches and irons to melt different pieces of ice and stick them together. Wow. So they have to melt it and then stick it together? Well, let's see. Okay, that person's trying to iron ice. Wow. Don't do that in your house, guys, because it's dangerous. Time. Ice sculptures have to be fast and finish their work before the ice melts. You see, it has a long process. It's really difficult because it's carbon, then you use water, then you use heat, but your time has to be really, really quick before the ice melts. Let's see the video. Wow, that is a fascinating fish, I think, but it's really, really cool how they did it. It's cool. Imagine to have that in a party, but it's good for pictures. But later, if you go back and try to take a picture using that sculpture, maybe it will probably be melted. Well, it says ice sculptures serve as decorative elements in different events and parties. Oh, what I just said, imagine that in a party or an event. Most of them last only a few hours before they become puddles. Puddles of water. Luckily, we can take photos of them. That means that you have to observe really, really quick the ice sculpture and then take a lot of pictures, because if not, it will become a puddle. Let's see this these three images. The first one says this is an ice dragon. Okay, this is a real cool ice dragon. You see how they make those small details on their tail, on their neck. Okay, look at the wings, and look at it. It's really, really big. Imagine how many pieces of ice or blocks of ice they had to use to make this type of sculpture. It's fascinating. Ice angel. Oh wow, this is ice angel. Oh my god, look at his wings of the angel. It's with detailed. Look at the trumpet. That's cool. Ice skaters. Okay. Oh my god, look at the women over there on top of the, and there's like a moon. It's really cool. But you see that mostly this type of ice sculptures, they do it on a place where it's cold, a cold place. Imagine this type of sculpture in Veracruz, in the Malecon. It will melt really, really quick. Oh my god, I can't even imagine that. It says sand sculpting is different from ice sculpting. In many ways, ice is hard and sculptures need powerful tools, while sand is very soft and it can be shaped with bare hands. Yes, ice sculpting, it's really difficult. It's cool for those that have the ability because they're great artists. It's another way of showing your art, your emotions, what you feel, okay? But sand sculpting, I think it's a little bit more easy. Let's check this out. Water. The most important element for sculpting sand is water. Dry sand does not stick together, but moist sand does. Planning. Making a sand sculpture must be carefully planned. Sand sculptures' mistakes can result in the destruction of their work. So you have to plan what you're going to do on the sand, because if you don't have any idea, then your sand sculpture won't come out the way you want it or the way you're planning it. Hands. At the beginning, sand sculptors work with their hands. They put sand together and shape it like clay. Let's observe this mini video. It's really cool. This reminds me when I was a little kid and I used to go to the beach, and sometimes you dig those cousins, brothers on top of the set on the beach, and on top of them you cover your cousin, your father, your brother, sister with sand, and not all over her head or his head, but you cover their body, all top of their body you will see sand. This is a cool part to do with your family, and it's a cool experience, but you have a lot of fun. So this reminds me of that because it looks like that a woman's trying to make a figure with sand. Detail. Artists give detail to their sand sculptures. They use brushes and spatulas to make the surface look smooth, or they use other tools to curve into it. Let's observe the mini video. Wow, this is in a beach. This is cool. This is the type of art that some Veracruzanos have to do on their beach. Try to create some sand sculptures. I know it's a little bit difficult because you can say, "Oh, this is really easy," but no, it's also difficult because it requires a lot of process, a lot of planning, more hands, more than one hands maybe, and trying to put several details on the sand sculpture. So I think it's not so easy like it seems. Unlike ice sculptures, artists cannot transport sand sculptures because they would fall apart. Obviously, imagine trying to transport your sand sculpture. No, it will be something fragile, so bad. Sand sculptures work in the same place from the start, like the beach or in a gallery, where people can see their art. Let's observe this image. Sand puddle. Wow, this is really cool. You see how they did it? It doesn't even looks like it's made out of sand. It looks like it's made out of another material like bronze or metal or something different. Saint Marie's Mother and Her Child 2015. Wow, this is really cool. Sand castle. Wow, this is not like the normal sand castles that we're used to of doing it on the beach. This is like a sand castle with a lot of details on the bridges, on the edge of the roofs. This is really cool. Ice and sand sculptures require a lot of skill and time, but their existence is fleeting. This makes them unique and enhances their beauty. They will not be there forever, unlike other kinds of sculptures. This makes people appreciate them more. Is all the effort worth it? Do you think that art should last forever? Yes. I will be so fascinated if this type of art will be lasted or will be lasting forever. Imagine to have this type of art. It's unique. It's something that transmit you something different, to see how can people be so careful making the details and in their art. It's a really cool, but unfortunately this doesn't last too much. It's something fleeting. Fleeting means something that lasts in a short period of time. It's something brief, okay? It won't last long. So I wish this type of art would last forever because it will be really cool trying to show you your art, your way of expression to others in a different way, not like painting, photography. No, imagine this is something that you can touch, but with a lot of care, with trying to be careful, okay? Word search. Let's observe this word search.
Chainsaw.
It says chainsaw.
Fleeting.
Chainsaw. Fleeting.
Fleeting. You see, fleeting is when you have a castle, but this castle won't last too much. It's something in a
Fragile.
short or brief time.
Fragile.
Residue.
Fragile.
Residue.
Spatula.
Residue.
Spatula.
Spatula. Okay. So now guys, this is all from this key language. Like once again, I suggest you to get inside of this links to see more information and more type of sculptures that exist. Okay, this is something really cool. And take a look before we go to the key concepts. It says ice sculpture and sand sculpture. Okay, those are the two types of sculptures that we saw. There's many other type of sculptures using several materials. Okay, so now let's continue by observing the learning log activities from pages 123 to 125. Okay, if you observe over here, in this part we will be talking about the type of sculptures, everything related to sculptures. Okay, so I hope that you observe these images. Okay, and I will need you to do a scanning on each of this one, see the information, look at the images. If you observe, there are several type of questions in each page. Okay, so in this type of talking we will be answering several questions individually according to what we see. Okay, so this is not extra activity, no, this is part of your learning logbook, answering questions. Okay, so that's why you need to pay attention, see what the question is asking you for. If you do not understand a word, then I suggest you to use internet and type the question and look for more information in the internet. Okay, over here you will be making a type of sculpture. That means you will be drawing your own type of sculpture with your pencil, choosing a theme. Okay, depending on the season of the year, etc. Okay, so for this activity I will give you 5 minutes to check and analyze pages 123 to 125. Okay, Okay, now let's start with the page 123. Okay, we're going to start by observing and reading this purple information that's located to your right of your page. Okay, observe the images that you have here. Take a look to this sculpture. I think this sculpture is from wood. Okay, it's made out of wood. Take a look to this one. This one is like a sculpture. It's a statue. Okay, and well, if you observe on the exercise, you have to answer several questions. Okay, but let's start by reading this purple information that's on page 123, and it says, as you may remember, an artistic series is a set of artworks that share a theme, and it may include pieces created in one or more mediums. So we can have a series of consisting of paintings, sculptures, and installations, or a series consisting of only paintings or only sculptures. So remember that an artistic series is what? A set of artworks, okay? That includes what? Pieces that is created from one or mediums, okay? Sculpture series can represent the narration of a story and also the expression of shared ideas or feelings. However, some sculpture series can be the result of the artist's continuing efforts to perfect an art, as was the case of the French sculptor Auguste Rodin, who was obsessed with creating hands that were more realistic and expressive. In order to achieve his goal, he would sculpt the hands in such a way that he could express a feeling or idea through them. An example is the sculpture The Cathedral, where the hands resemble a cathedral-like building while they express the union of two people when they join their hands together. The intimacy and universality of this gesture evokes the feeling that we get when we enter a cathedral or even look at the building from the outside. To analyze a sculpture series, we must know and understand the context of the artist, when, why, and how they began the work. So, before, you have to know the context of the artist, when, why, and how they began the work, okay? That's how you're going to analyze a sculpture. Now, remember that a sculpture series is to represent narration of a story and can always express a shared ideas or feeling, okay? It says, we must also understand the intentional goal of the series. For example, what is it meant to narrate or communicate something in particular? Or was the series the result of the artist's efforts to perfect a technique? We also need to know the techniques and materials used and the theme that connects the pieces together. So remember, you need to know the techniques that the painter used and the materials. The theme, we have to see if the pieces, if one piece, if the other piece is connected together once you put them together. If all of those pieces connected, they have a story or they share an idea, okay? Now, let's observe this exercise number 1. It says read the information and answer the following questions. Now, you have to read this information, these questions, and you have to answer them according to what we just underlined and what we just read in the previous information. Number 1 says, what is a series? Number 2, what is a sculpture series? What do you need to know in order to analyze a sculpture series? And which artist created a sculpture series of hands? Which artists? Okay. For this activity, I will give you 5 minutes to answer this activity, okay? So ready? 1, 2, 3.